Okay, hi everyone. I'm gonna put some background music if I can. Okay, not too loud, hopefully. So the topic for today is to make a pause in the development of maps of science and make sure that the steps we have accomplished so far are that they work well. So where were we? We have collected all journal articles from OpenAlex. So about 20, can't remember how many works, like millions of publications. And then from these publications, we have extracted a list of journals and a list of authors who published in these journals. So that's step 2. And then what we have tried doing last week was to do a pairwise comparison between journals, so comparing each pair of journals among the 2 million journals we had in order to to find which journals were similar to each other, and it worked on a small sample of 5,000 journals, and it worked well. It was fast, so I reported on this result in the form of a blog post, which I posted on LinkedIn and Twitter and Reddit. And that's on Reddit that I got the most feedback. Let me show you. That was the post here, where basically I just shared the link to the blog post, and these are the conversations it generated. So I'm so grateful to the anonymous users who took the time to read and contribute their feedback, because they found mistakes and they found ways to improve further the computation of pairwise comparisons. These feedbacks are, where are they? So either like somebody called Ivory Too Much posted this suggestion directly in the Reddit feed. And that's the same user who found that the data was corrupted. So on feedback on Reddit, let me, if you are curious, let me share with you the link to the Reddit feed. So I just pasted it in the chat, and other users, I think, who reacted from Twitter, posted their suggestions on the GitHub repository, which I use to just store and share the code of this project. And on GitHub, you have this tab called Issues, where you can ask questions, basically, or post comments. And if you look at so let's pick the first comment chronologically. The first comment was, as you see, it's pretty involved. that's why I'm saying I'm super grateful to the people who contribute, you know, on their free time, their opinions and contributions on the project. This user is called Spiger, and he's actually a developer of a framework, a library in Java to speed up and make more memory efficient. You know, the when you handle a large amount of data, and that's exactly our case here. So even if I'm not using the library of Spiger, he still very kindly contributed ideas on how I could you know, do things quicker and more efficient. So, you know, it's a lot of feedback, so I was a bit overwhelmed, like, you know, where should I start? But, you know, we have just to start somewhere. It's not, let me share the link to the GitHub repo on the chat if you want to have a look. Yeah, so things can be a bit overwhelming, and I must say I was a bit, you know, I was a bit, how do you say, disappointed that, you know, the errors that were pointed in the Reddit feed, I was a bit ashamed that I left these errors in the data, but it's a normal reaction. Actually, you know, it's like it's a complex, relatively complex project, and of course you don't get things straight and correctly in the first time, so you don't have to get overwhelmed. You just fix things one after another. So let's do that. And the most important to me was to start with, you know, incorrect data. So let me zoom in with you. I hope I can. Yes. I'm going to zoom in at the center of the screen so that you can follow with me. And actually it was pretty easy to fix. And I must say thanks to the user who just provided the diagnosis and the solution. So he says, or she says, unfortunately the data is corrupted. You try to optimize the writes. So what it means is that in my code, we retrieve data from OpenAlex. I'm gonna just write that here. OpenAlex is this wonderful foundation that provides data on scientific publications for free. So it's the OpenAlex Foundation. Do check it out. I'm using the API to collect the data on journal articles. And when you collect the data, you know, at high speed through the API, you need to, the data you receive, it's basically text files. You need to save them to your hard drive, right? So you can say in technical terms, you write these files to the disk, but it's like saving on the hard drive. And this is the line of code that you know, do the saving on the hard drive. And a mistake is that if the text to write is longer than a limit, the part of the text which is beyond the limit is not going to be saved. So, and that's what exactly the user says. However, when a line of text is longer than 1 megabyte, it gets trimmed. So, you know, everything beyond 1 megabyte is not saved or written to disk. So the way to fix that, I fixed that already. Oh, did I? Yeah, not everywhere, but I fixed it here. The way to fix that in the code is just to increase the number of, or the size of the text to be written. So I just, by default, it was 1 megabyte, and I just multiply that by 5, and actually, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to do 10. Done. The only issue is that it means that I have to fetch again the entire list of journals, not journals, publications. And it's a 65 gigabytes file, so it takes a full day to retrieve it. So it was a bit boring to just do that all over again. The good thing is that we can, what I do is I do things in 2 steps. First, I collect this 65 gigabytes of a big file that contains all the journal articles, and then in a second step, I extract the journal names and the authors' IDs from this big file. And I was thinking maybe I could do the 2 steps in just one, right? So I suggest that means when I received from OpenAlex a journal article, I do save it on disk, sure, but also I take the opportunity of having this journal article just being received to do what I usually do in the second step. So I'm going to just pick the journal name and the author IDs, and I'm going to save that in a second file. Yeah, I'm not sure it's really necessary to do that because this second step is really super quick. Yeah, I'm not sure it's thinking again, maybe I should leave that as it is. No, I'm gonna leave that as it is. First step, data collection. Second step, extraction. Let's do things separately. I think it's better, especially if I want, to decouple the 2. Okay, done. Then we can go back to the GitHub issues. Where are they? Oh, they're here. So just to show you the first one I've mainly addressed it is by this author of a Java library to handle big collections of data points. And yeah, I basically addressed his suggestions, so I'm gonna just write to him, closing the issue here, the issue, don't hesitate, opening a new one if necessary. So closing an issue means that you just, you terminate the conversation and you can continue discussing, but that would need to open a new thread. Done. You always have this very nice feeling of closing issues because it means that you have one less issue on your project. It has been dealt with. It's a kind of small satisfaction. And we move to the next one, and the title it shows that we have a big issue, I think. So Nostimo, I don't know this person, but again, thanks to him or her, I'm getting a different file size for similarity. For when you run the similarity computation between journals, the result is saved in a file which I called similarities.txt. But the user says, I'm getting a different file size for for the file each time he runs the similarities. This seems to be caused, and he helpfully gives me some hints and suggestions. This seems to be caused by the method double looping through journal IDs, which is not waiting for all the tasks to finish. Okay, so maybe it's just minor. Let me show you. Yeah, so he mentions this method. And I think what he says is that this thing that stops, I think, this line of code is just the one that stops the saving to the hard drive of the results when the operations have finished. So when the operations have finished, stop the thing that writes the results to the hard drive, and just finish. And what the user is suggesting is that this stop thing is basically acting, it's being executed in a way that it prevents this thing to finish. So maybe because I'm basically not so let's do what this stop is doing, because I've coded it myself. Oh yeah, maybe. But so I'm not sure. Maybe I'm gonna, so what I would suggest is, what is always good to do is, if the problem or the issue is not clear, you can just ask for precisions. Hi, thanks for noticing, thanks for the feedback. Is the file size different by just a line or two? I think it's the case, actually. It's just like, like just a few lines. If so, it is not it's not super important. It's not super impactful, because we lose just a few journal names. Not even journal names now. We would a few similarities between journals. Yeah, but let's not say that, because after all we want to be precise, right? If so, that would mean that what does it mean actually precisely? So basically, the executor is doing that, and it adds that to the queue. Oh, I know what I can do. While the queue is not empty. Come on. Don't interrupt the writing to the disk as long as the queue is still having things in it. So it's never a good thing, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Thread sleep So wait a few milliseconds. 100 milliseconds. It's like a tenth of a second. Yeah, that's good. So don't stop the writing to the disk if the queue is not empty. So I think that this way it will not cut the last few computations that are, you know, performed there. They will not be left out from the file. So if I'm back in the issue, that will mean that a few similarity computations are that a few last are performed but not returned to disk. I just added, so I'm just copying to the user what I've just added, this loop to make sure the queue is empty before we stop writing to disk. Yeah, I'm not I thought, I'm not sure it's going to change anything because we were already checking for that, you know, while yeah. I'm not sure it's going to change anything. Because I've already this condition that says do not stop writing to disk as long as the queue is still not empty. So I'm asking for help, or is it something else, you know? So I'm commenting here. Before I comment, I'm gonna put that as I'm gonna format it as some code. It's gonna be more beautiful. So that's my comment, and that's what I have added. So I'm gonna add a comment here. Added this while loop as per this issue. I'm not sure it is useful. The issue, each issue has a number, so you can easily reference it. So it's issue number 2, this one. Okay. Not sure we have fixed the issue, but the conversation is ongoing. Okay, and so we have made some you know, attempts at solving that. It's not, I'm not sure we have done what was necessary, but the conversation is ongoing. Now we move to the next issue. The issue is, I see there are only 100,000 lines. Yeah, so he's right. So two things. He says that there are just 100,000 lines in the, which file? Let me open the file, not the file, but the folder. So that's the files we are dealing with. Yeah, all journals and the authors, almost 1 giga. And I said that there are 200K journals. So why is the file, that's the question, right, by the user. Why has the file only 102 lines? And I think the answer to that is that we are not considering all publications, which would be 200,000 publications. We are considering only journals. But before, and you have just half of the publications that are journals. But before I say that, I could just verify that, because I've already written, I have written somewhere, yeah, a thing that counts journals. So I could just launch it, get journals count. Yeah, that's here. I just have to make sure that it's the same. So I'm not counting every journal, every publication. I'm counting, or I'm considering only journals after 2014. Right. And only the journals that have articles cited at least once. So type journal. Oh yeah, I can't really check that. But let's do journals. If I count just the journals, not every publication, just journals, let's see how many there are. I made some mistake here, so I'm just gonna fix that. And yeah, we can go run. So here I'm counting all the publications that are journals. And I would expect it to be around 120, 100,000. It's super slow for many reasons. I'm streaming with OBS. Oh, close to 200. Weird. So what was the user saying? Yeah. Okay, weird. Or not. I mean, one thing that explains this discrepancy is that I'm not counting. I mean, if I count every journal, then I get indeed close to 200,000 journals. I just did the count, and it's 193,000 journals. But the way I build this list of journals is through an indirect way. I first collect all the journal articles, and then I get the name of the journal in the article. So you think I should end up with the same number of journals, except that I'm not considering all journal articles. I'm just taking the ones from after 2014. So if a journal has ceased publication before 2014, it will not end up in my list because I will not have retrieved an article from this journal because I started in 2014. But when I say that, I am a bit surprised that over 200,000 journals, half of them would have ceased publication between 2014. I think it's possible actually, because, or I don't know, it's an empirical question. The other possibility is that I mess up with my with my code, right? So let's look back at the way. Let's look back at past journal IDs and author IDs. Yeah, so that's the code that I use to get the names of the journals from the list of publications. Let's see if I spot any issue. So one way I could miss some journals is through that. So when I loop through all publications, all articles, which are journal articles, when I loop through all journal articles, if the journal is not mentioned in the primary location of the article, then I will not retrieve the name of this journal. But that seems pretty unlikely, that a journal article would not contain the name of the journal where it was published. Just to be, maybe I should add a little precaution here. I should, if I should just make sure I add a journal and the authors in it. if there is actually a journal. No, it's fine, it's fine. Okay, so first step, I collect all the journal IDs with the authors, and the second step is create list of journals with the authors. Exactly, that's here. Wait, maybe there are issues here. Okay, I'm not sure. So what I'm doing here is that I'm just applying the remarks that contributor had made in one of the GitHub issue I closed. The Steiger had made some remarks on how I could improve pairwise comparisons, and I followed on his suggestions. But now I realize that at this step, where I take a list of journals and the authors and I reconstruct a list of journals and all the authors, actually the suggestions that Steiger had made can be applied there as well. And it's not just for performance, maybe that it has an impact on it may have an impact on the accuracy of my computations. What's the issue here? Oh yes, I think I know. I think he suggested I use a tree set, not a hash set. Why is it complaining here? Oh no, an object linked open hash set, that's what he suggested. And maybe that this right here is also, yeah, not properly done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I suppose there are so many things to check, but I think there is a good chance I just made some mistakes. Let's make it 20 megabytes. Return every half a second, if needed. This one I don't need. Okay, so if we're back at the question, what was the question? And all the questions seem to be a bit the same, like some data is missing or some data is corrected. And thanks to the suggestion by the user on Reddit, it probably has to do with the way I was writing files to the disk. I probably did not use parameters of the correct size. What do you say in Corona? Salve? I would love, I don't know what salve means in this context, but just to share what I have in mind, I would love to try that, these new parameters. But the thing is, I'm on my, oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah, so I just made some change to make sure that data is properly processed without any data loss. But I can't try it with you now, and the reason is that The reason is that first I have to harvest again all the works, this big file, and that takes a day. And the second reason is that even if then I want to execute some, if I want to process this big file, I need to connect to the Linux server where these things are running. But here I'm on my workplace and I don't have the port to the Linux server I'm using is not opened. I can't connect from here to my Linux server, so I can't really do a live attempt. What I'm gonna do in the meantime is I'm just gonna answer the user. I'm not exactly sure going on. As suggested by a user on Reddit, and I'm gonna put the link to that. How can I link to a specific comment? Sure we can, yeah. Okay, that's the link. So, as suggested by a user on Reddit, there are some mistakes. In the way I write data collected from the API on the disk. I trim the data. So I just fixed that, and will try to collect data again, and I will collect data again this week to see if or how that changes things. Hopefully it will fix the number of journals and also these incorrect longs. Okay. So I'm not closing the issue because I don't have a definite answer to the user. But that's, just to, again, the polite thing to do when somebody takes their time to open an issue on your project and making investigations is at least to report on what you do to answer their comments. Before we leave, it's not an open issue, but it's really something interesting as well. It's the comment by the user Ivory Too Much, who commented on on my optimized code to do pairwise comparisons in a super quick way, and he suggested a way to do it even faster. So just a comment on that. I posted a blog post saying, well, using some some quite elaborated code. So the code is not too complicated, but it took me quite some time to try things out and to finally get some code that could do pairwise comparisons on 200,000 journals. By the way, the user says we have just 100,000, but anyway, on many journals, and so I did these computations on a sample of 5,000 journals, and that was blazingly fast. Like, I could compare the pairs of 5,000 journals in, well, let's check the blog post. So I was super happy to write all of that. You know, how I did, how clever that was. And at the end it says, I could compute or compare 2.8 million pairs per second, which means I would need just 12 minutes to compare 200,000 journals. And then I tried that, you know, not just on the sample, but on the actual 200,000 journals, and it gave me a kind of, it didn't take 12 minutes at all, it took more than an hour, and then I got no result. I got an out of memory error, or I should have kept the trace of the result. But basically it blew up. So maybe I could just relaunch. Oh no, but with OBS it's going to be super slow. But basically my code is fun and nice, but it doesn't work at all for a big amount of journals, like 200,000. So I could either optimize the code even more, but honestly, I did everything I could. I don't really see what else I could do. Or I could try out the suggestion by the user, who so the user is super experimented. I call this person a user. It's more of a senior developer, it seems. I mean, you can be both, right? And his or her suggestion is to just that's what you read here, is to it's really somebody who's used to do things efficiently and in a very lean way. So you don't have objects or maps. You just have an array of integers. And that seems pretty, I mean, that seems like a very good strategy, because an array of integer is super light. I mean, you can't have lighter than that in terms of memory footprint, and in terms of how quickly computations can be made on that. The only issue is that I did not really understand everything that the user has written here. The reason is that, again, this person seems to be pretty used to, you know, writing very concisely and very clever code, and I need a bit of time to get around that. So if you want to play with me, I'm just going to show you so I just pasted the link, and I'm going to take the last few minutes of this stream to go and try understand what he suggests or what she suggests. So that I think I understood. Yeah. Then why do you need the index of the last authors? We will use the fact that the lists of authors are sorted. So we will iterate over both at once. I can understand that, I think. So first you take the index of the last authors. How do you do that? You take the first plus 1, y plus 1, That's complicated. How do you know in this the last author? First plus one plus array first plus one. What does it even mean? Okay, so first is okay. First is like the first journal it's like A and J, you know, or I and J. Okay, so 0, y plus 1. Think. No, I don't get it. Ah, got it. Maybe I get it. Yeah, exactly on Corona. Well, I'm like, exactly. It's like, it's challenging, but, and I would need a whiteboard, I suppose. And actually, I would need to talk to somebody to, you know, so that we basically, like a sparring partner. But what I, again, so, and I feel like a beginner, but who cares? Yeah, so the indice of the last author, it's, you know, it's like, and I think, maybe there is a mistake, I don't know, maybe. Because what is first and what is second? I think first and second are just, you know, the indices of the two journals he's looping through. So first is 0. Let's take, you know, we're going to compare journal 0 and 1. So the index of the last author of the first journal is going to be 0 plus 1 . But why? What's this thing? Why does he add stuff? Because for me, the index of the last author of the first journal is, so the index is like, so I don't know if you should count these, you know, semicolons and dots. I suppose not is just is just for to help the reading the data structure. So I'm gonna just suppose that we should ignore these indices, the indices of the semicolon and the index of the dot. And so for me, the index of the last author is simply, if we have 3 authors, then this is the length of this array minus 2, because the 2 first positions are not used to store authors, but they are just used to store the number of the author and the number of, sorry, the number of the journal, the ID of the journal, and the cardinality of the authors, so the number of authors. So the position of the last author is 3. 1, 2, 3 plus 2. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, plus 1. but I think he's using a trick. This person is very clever. The position of the last author of the first journal is going to be. That's why I think there is a trick here about using the. Wow. No. I think. I think I understand a bit. Wow. Now I'm lost. I think I'm slowly getting it. Okay, I think I get this second part. So you take the array I need a white screen now, a whiteboard. Oh, thank you. I don't have a... So I'm just, I don't know if you, okay, it doesn't hurt the, it doesn't hurt the streaming. Super clever code. It takes ages to install the open board, not ages, but like one more minute. Oh no, it's getting quick now. What is this thing? Let me check node age. Oh wow, fantastic. Fantastic. Who has created that? Oh, is it you? Onkorana, are you the one who created that? Wow, nice. Oh yes, pretty recent indeed. Wow, that's nice. Okay, I think, okay. Wow, that's complicated what you did. In terms of software engineering, it's like I'm lost, you know. Okay, let's go. Yeah, Corona. So indeed, if we sort that out, that's gonna be pretty neat. In any case, I'm gonna send a message to this author. Oh wow, what's that? Okay. I'm lost. The open board has opened a lot of windows. How can I move it around? Not sure. Yeah, open board is nice, but it takes all my multi-écran. Oh. Okay, open board was a bit weird on my screen, so I just closed it, and I don't have more time today to investigate further. But what I'm gonna do is simply send a message to the person, like, hey, we don't understand your clever idea. So this person is on Reddit. I don't know if we can talk to persons on Reddit. like how do you messages, send a private message to Ivory. Oh, I should have written his name before. What's his name? Oh, message, great. Help on your suggestion for pairwise comparison. Hi, thanks again for your comments on the thread on how to perform pairwise comparisons in Java. With another user, so I'm gonna name you Ghana. With another user, we would love to try it out, but we are too dumb to understand it. We would love to try it out, but we can't understand it completely. We can't understand it fully. I'm an academic. I'm very good at understatements. Would you mind? Would you mind explaining it in more details? If that is more convenient, here on Reddit or over GitHub, if you'd prefer. Anywhere you want, basically. Or on over GitHub if you prefer. The repo for this project is, and I'm gonna give the repo to my code. Thanks again. And send. It's exactly that. It's like a message to the galaxy. So what are the links you shared? Oh, you do all of that in JavaScript. And what's the data? The data is stored as a SQL table, but the data is what? It's like a Zotero or OpenAlex or what? And is it native for Zotero to store the data as an SQL table, or is it you who? Oh, and yeah, so is it you who? Oh, sorry, yeah, source file. Oh yeah, I've seen that somewhere. Okay, so you export Zotero, a list of reference from Zotero as a CSV, and then you ingest this or you send this CSV to an SQL table, and then you work on it, right? Okay. And so what do you do with that? What do you do? Because I'm not sure I understood the end goal of your project. Yeah, okay, so it's pretty much creating networks from bibliographic data. Okay, that was my question. The relations targeted are those established by the articles, which are the nodes, and the keywords. So you mean two articles have a relation if they share a keyword, right? And what is Obsidian? Never heard of it. Is it a JavaScript something, or is it a visualization framework? Ah, I heard of it actually. Ah. Yeah, I heard of it sometimes. Sometime I heard of it as yeah when I was researching ways to write, but then yeah. That's interesting. Okay. Oh, you already have a release. Nice. Okay, I understand. I don't understand much, but okay, I have to stop here. Let's pray that Obi-Wan is answering our message. And otherwise, I'm gonna need a whiteboard. Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, we're gonna. It's like, you know, our Champollion. You know, the French guy who deciphered the Egyptian writing. We need somebody who basically can read this Rosetta Stone. And yeah, that's it. Okay, leaving you now. Thanks for the input and suggestions and kind spirits, Ankorana. Thanks, Veronica, for being here. Thanks for being here. You know, despite the lack of progress, still very much encouraging. But you know, if we can sort that out, then we have. I mean, being able to do pairwise comparison is going to be in a fast way. Is going to be super useful beyond just this project. So it's really worth is investigating a bit of time and even a lot of time. So have a good week, everyone. See you next week. Cheers. Bye bye.